My name is Patrick Koman. I work for BI since a year and a half now, after a long career in software development. I live in Pijnacker. I live there together with my girlfriend and 2 cats. I'm really looking forward to that one of the customers I am already working for, hopefully going to expand their requirements to other areas of the world. So that would give more opportunities to think even more closer with the customer about the solutions. Also we already have some ideas of scaling up the new cloud environment for them. So it would be really nice if we can set that in place. And for another customer, I might also start be working in as one of the developers on a so-called container terminal, also maritime business. Yeah, I'm currently working on 2 main projects. Both customers are involved in the maritime sector. For one company, we are aiming to create information so they can get insights and improve on their operations. For the second one, the main goal is to create financial KPIs, but as a first step, they like to get insights in how their financial data is correct between several systems they are using, between their departments and also between their kinds of operations they are working in. In both projects, my role is the lead developer, which means that I am closely involved to the product owner and the consultant of the project. And it means that the consultant speaks to the customer about the business requirements. And then early on, I am already entering the conversation to see if there's any technical issues we need to tackle. Then you need to think about certain things like applications which are running on servers we don't have immediate access to, so we might need the help of system administration or functional application managers of certain tools. And when that's all cleared out, then my goal is to sit with the consultant and the product owner to define which data model or data set is required to provide the dashboards with the KPIs. And then it's up to me to make that whole way from the source data into the data warehouse to the data set, and then together with the consultant take that to the dashboards and iron things out. So it always starts with asking the good questions. That's the main task of the product owner and or the consultant, but it's also important for myself to ask good questions about the environment the customer is working in, to already have a good understanding about the potential data flows we can set up for them. And as soon as all those requirements are clear, only then are we giving some real thoughts about the data. Okay, this is the dashboard we might need, and this is the way we're going to think backwards from the dashboard and also from the other side, from the source side, and bring it all together in data warehouse and the data sets. And that's actually a very nice thing about my work, I believe, because this, especially the source systems, are always different. There are of course some major SaaS applications such as ERP systems or HRM systems, which have pretty well documented APIs which you can access. But we're also seeing customers with on-premise environments who are running sometimes custom-made applications which are not even internet facing. So you really have some challenges to get the data out of them. But that's the nice part, and you meet other people. You meet some system administrators. You might meet application developers who can explain you about the data layout. So that's really funny, because once you have all the source data extracted, then the part in between, like the whole data warehouse part, is kind of like a formula with an IOBI. That's basically a matter of implementing it, doing it. And but for me, like, the challenge and the fun is really like the extraction part. Yeah, the first thing we usually do is what we call a sprint zero, and that involves several steps. We are making sure that we have a good understanding about the stakeholders, such as who are the decision makers, that we know who we are talking to or need to be talking to. We do an investigation about which data does the customer already have, and if they have data, do we have access to it? Do we need parties like software maintainers or logins and passwords to get access to databases or APIs and things like that? So before we actually start to plan and run the sprints, and at that phase, it is a large responsibility for the people in my role, for the senior data engineers, to get that good picture and make sure that we're not overlooking something important, that it suddenly turns out like 2 months later that we need a certain database which is so restricted in terms of security, for example, that it might take months to get some clearance to actually be able to read that data, for example. So that's the important part, which is usually taking up like a couple of weeks. When it comes to a data warehouse, you have a couple of layers. You have the so-called staging layer, which is like the first step between the source data and the staging layer. You try to load as much data as possible without too many checks and constraints yet. The second part is called a data vault layer. That's written out by other experts. There are books about that, videos about that. That's like a formulaic way of defining your database. Based on that, you make so-called star model, and that's like data sets which are really optimized to be used by dashboarding. Basically, all those steps are being invoked from Azure Data Factory. We're mainly working with the Azure technology stack. And this Azure Data Factory is responsible in our end to make connections to the source systems, to APIs, to on-prem environments via integration runtimes. And everything comes together in this staging layer. From there we run custom stored procedures to populate the data vault. And from there we run another list of procedures to populate the data mart. And for those last two steps, this data vault and the data mart, we have an in-house tool which really speeds up the development of those two layers, because that's usually a lot of copying and pasting otherwise. And now we only need to define, that's basically what it's all about, defining the correct data structures, and then the in-house tool will lay out all the necessary views and store procedures to populate these data layers. That's mainly being developed with two colleagues of us, and I am using that tool basically.